Of all the Final Fantasy games that I have played in my lifetime, Final Fantasy Tactics is probably one that stands out the most. While it's not similar to the mainline Final Fantasy games, it still has the classic JRPG elements that make the Final Fantasy series stand out, and still has the terms and mechanics and widespread appeal that Final Fantasy games actually have. On top of that, the story is incredible, the gameplay still stands the test of time, and the remaster is continuing it in one of the best ways possible. And yes, of course, it is perfect to play on the Steam Deck. However, there are a couple of little things I'd like to go over. So in this video, we're going to talk about those things and show how Final Fantasy Tactics: The Ivalice Chronicles runs on the Steam Deck and some of the little quirks that I found while playing. If you want to see more videos like this, hit that like and subscribe button, and hit the notification bell to be notified as soon as our next video goes live. The game is recorded using a capture card, so your performance may be very slightly better than what you're going to be seeing in this video. A copy of the game was provided by Square Enix for review. Thank you. So, as expected, Final Fantasy Tactics: The Ivalice Chronicles is perfect to play on the Steam Deck. It's not something I ever really doubted since the game initially released for the PlayStation 1, but it's still nice to confirm hands-on. There are two versions included in this game, the new remastered version with updated visuals and voiceovers, and the classic, which sits closer to the original release with some quality of life improvements, and both run without a hitch on the deck. However, with there being two different versions of the game with some big visual differences between them, there are some changes in performance to note. The remastered version of the game drains at an average 8.5 watts, while the classic version sticks around 6.5 watts average. So, playing the classic version can get an extra hour battery life, but doesn't have the updated UI, visuals, and voice acting. The save games for each game is separated as well, so just because you play through one game and you save at a certain point does not mean you can continue that on the other version of the game. I say that because there have been a couple of games where I have noticed that being a feature. The game is also rated playable for small in-game text, which I believe relates to the classic version of the game. I didn't find much small text in the remastered or classic versions, but I did feel that the font of the classic version could make it hard to read some of the UI, like the word enemy when you're looking at the enemy stats in battle. From my experience so far, I believe that's the cause of the downgraded badge and not because it's actually too small to read. If you play the remastered version, I doubt you'll have these problems. I also noticed that the game does say it has HDR support, but it doesn't actually show it in the settings. When I went to go check the quick access menu, I saw that HDR was turned on, and it's turned off by changing the windowed mode from borderless to full screen. So borderless turned to HDR on, while full screen turned it off. I'm not sure why it doesn't have its own option, but it does turn on and off by changing that setting. Otherwise, there isn't much more to say about Tactics on the Steam Deck. It just works, and works well. It feels like a perfect fit, and I couldn't be happier to take it on the go and play it wherever I am. This is a portable game I highly recommend investing in, especially if you're a fan of JRPGs and strategy games. There aren't really any settings for accessibility other than inverting the camera, changing audio sliders, and changing the language. The game does not support 16:10 resolution, but it does have cloud saves and controller support, and it's pretty damn great. Now, this is a remaster of a very old game that was originally released almost 30 years ago on the PlayStation 1, so asking $49.99 for it may seem a little bit too much. However, the game is iconic and there is a very good reason why. The story is incredible, the gameplay is engaging, and it's just so much fun. With all the enhancements, including the full voice acting and the new visuals, autosaves, and more, it's just such a great package for one of the greatest Final Fantasy games to have ever released. So if it's something you're on the fence about, I do recommend purchasing it, and just know it's going to be an incredible experience on the Steam Deck. Thank you guys for watching. If you enjoyed this video, hit that like and subscribe button, and hit the notification bell to be notified as soon as our next video goes live. And a huge thank you to our patrons. You guys are awesome. See you next time.